MojaLove has a show called Teenage Pregnancy. Thank you, MojaLove. Oh my God, I never thought I'd ever be saying stuff like that. Thank you, MojaLove. This is a much needed show. This is relevant. This is important. The show is Teenage Pregnancy and it's about money making. It's about teenage pregnancy. Hi, how are you doing? I am Lungile. Thank you so much for clicking on my videos. Yes, where it's at, MojaLove's Teenage Pregnancy. I want to talk about the show. So, teenage pregnancy is like a social issue in South Africa. I just typed teenage pregnancy on my phone right now. Let me read to you what comes out. New figures from the Gauteng Department of Health show that more than 23,000 girls aged under 18 gave birth between April 2020 and March 2021, of which 934 were aged under 14, compared to 14,577 girls aged 19 and under. 934 girls under the age of 14. This is a problem, okay? Teenage pregnancy, something needs to be done. The girls are getting younger and younger and younger. My question is, are the boys impregnating them also around the same age group? It's a problem, but it's a different kind of problem if the boys or men impregnating these 14-year-olds are older. You know, there's a lot of questions that we need to be asking as a society regarding the rates, the numbers of teenage pregnancy in this country. Now, teenage pregnancy is not a new thing. Way back then, people were having children in their teenage years, but people were getting married younger back then. So, of course, you get married, you're expected to have a kid. When I say teenage pregnancy, I'm literally referring to unmarried teenagers. Their parents think they're just babies, and next thing, boom, your little girl is pregnant. And it's not a 2000s thing. It's not like necessarily a new thing. I'm 31 years old. I am a baby's baby. My mother was around this age group as well when she had me, and that was 1990, people. Teenage pregnancy has been around. Now, the difference between, say, 1990 and 2022 is back then it was taboo. There was shame attached to it. Even, you know, for it to be known that a young girl, a teenage girl, is sexually active, it was like spoken of in hushed tones, like, oh my God, how could she, you know, like there was a lot of stigma, shame attached to it, and that stigma and shame served as a deterrent for other girls to engage in the act way too soon. And also the social values that were being instilled in girls back then were that, please save yourself for marriage, save yourself for marriage. You know, different messages were being taught to young girls back then. Dare I say young men as well? I don't know. But nowadays, oh my God, sexual liberation, sex, it is everywhere. Social media, the more scantily dressed you are, likes. The more you talk risque about sex, likes. In our communities, in our schools, the girls that we know are sexually active, we are speaking in harsh tones about them. Not me, but, you know, the younger generation. But it's not with shame per se, but there's a little bit of reverence when you speak about the 16, 15-year-olds in your school neighborhood that are sexually active. Not pregnant, just sexually active. You know, so times are changing. You know, parents are busy working, y'all. They are busy working, so they're not spending as much time supervising their children, making sure that there's curfew at this time, the child is back home. When you're not home, you really are where you're saying you are, you know, because parents are working. So yeah, that ain't happening. And the absent father. A lot of fathers are not in the home. You know, back then, the young man potential pregnanter. The young man would fear the girl's father, like, oh no, I cannot impregnate Mr. Mtaung's daughter. You know, I would get it. I cannot impregnate Mr. Mkize's daughter. But nowadays, there's no fathers in the home. Like, having a father in the home adds that sense of is tuned to that household. Even the children of that household are viewed and treated differently in the broader society. But now the fathers are not in the home. The mothers are off at work. Everybody's doing what they want, because if you're not here, I can lie and say I was home the whole damn time. So let's meet the girls in this show. Of course, teenage pregnancy follows these three young ladies that are pregnant. First, I'm going to mention Amkelani. She's 17 years old. She's in matric. She seems very confident, very well spoken, very sure of herself. You know, there's a little sprinkle of maturity in her, especially compared to the other two girls. She seems to be from an okay family. She lives with her mother. She also has an older sister who also was pregnant at 17 years old, who is now pregnant again, but it don't matter. It's 13 years later. She's an adult now. You know, and it seems like Amkelani and her sister have an open relationship where they have spoken about safe sex before. So yeah, of course, Amkelani's family is shocked and angry that Amkelani is pregnant. Her mother is Hanti. Her mother is a fire-breathing dragon. Her mother is screaming abortion. Her mother wants to terminate the baby. Now, I got two issues with that. Number one, Amkelani's tummy, it really looks like she's too far gone. There are rules to termination. After a certain period of time, termination is illegal, you know. And number two, the mother really seems to be trying to force Amkelani to terminate the pregnancy. Yes, Amkelani is under 18. Yes, Amkelani is your child, mama. But if Amkelani says, no, I'm keeping the baby, then you can't make her have a termination. So I have a problem with that. And as I'm mentioning, abortion is legal in South Africa. As such, if the woman who is pregnant is the one who decides to terminate the pregnancy, there's no shame to it. There's no crime committed. It is up to the woman, of course, provided that it is within the legal time frame. Okay, next we have Uzanele. To me, Zanele strikes me as just a party girl. Young girl wanted to have a whole damn baby shower. What is it? Okay, wait. I think Zanele is 16 years old. She's in grade 11. She lives with her mother and sister. Zanele has a lot of friends, of which one of them is this young boy named Smanga. Zanele had a boyfriend that she was sexually active with, and she said that she was using protection with her boyfriend. But it so happened that boyfriend goes away somewhere in Limpopo over the December holidays, and apparently Zanele and her friend Smanga got to drinking and they had unprotected sex. Now Zanele is pregnant and she says Smanga is the father of the baby. Smanga is cool with that. He's like, yeah, we had sex, so I am the father of the baby. That's what he's saying to Zanele. Boom. But Smanga's family, child, they're asking very uncomfortable questions, quite hostile towards Zanele, I must say. And our third young lady is the one who's just been pulling at our heartstrings. It's Ntando from Orange Farm. She's also probably 15, 16. She looks very young. She acts even younger. She's like half the time or more than half the time, really, she's been on a TV. She is in tears. She's just not happy about this pregnancy. She seems to be really, really regretting this pregnancy. So she is one of 5 children being raised by a single mother. It seems like all these young ladies are being raised by single mothers, by the way. I have not seen or heard mention of a father. But Dando's mother did say, I'm raising all 5 of you on my own. Amkelani's mother was like, I'm not going to be all that involved in you raising the baby. I think Zanele's mother is off the same tip. But Dando's mom is there for Dando. She's like, you know what? I will take care of you. I will help you take care of the child. So like they've been pulling at our heartstrings, y'all. Dando's situation been pulling at our heartstring. So her background is she and her sister decided to join Ingoma in their area. I think they're Zulu, and Zulus do she didn't call it virginity testing, but I think that's what they were about. She said, in Dombi, being maidens, being virgins, preserving your virginity for a certain period of time. If you so wish until marriage, that's fine as well. And so they were doing that. But I think that Dando was a bit naughty. Not I think, Dando was not. I think this Ingoma thing in their neighborhood also involves young men as well. So Dando got a boyfriend in the same group who understands what they're doing and why they're doing. But Dando's sister did mention that Dando had a tendency of acting wild. Dando would disappear. They would be all over Orange Farm at night looking for Dando. So she had a wild streak. So she, Dando, and her boyfriend were practicing ukusoma. I looked it up because I had to find a way to describe it. Google describes it as thigh sex. But honey, sperm gonna do what sperm gonna do. It's gonna travel. They're not called swimmers for nothing, okay? So yes, from ukusoma, Dando finds herself pregnant. And so yeah, I guess that's why like she's so disappointed, because she wasn't doing all out sex and now she's pregnant. But those who know that pregnancy can result from ukusoma. So this show, Teenage Pregnancy, is highlighting a number of social issues within our society and within the household. Number one, I would say teenagers don't listen, or most teenagers don't listen, or they forget, or they are easily distracted. I don't know. But a lot of them, the stuff you teach them, they end up not doing it, because all three of these young ladies, at some point or another, somebody spoke to them about boys, sex, pregnancy. But I don't know when the teenager is out there what happens, So like as parents, as families, as society, we need to take into account that under this situation, under the act, kissing and fondling is going on, different juices are flowing in the body, and most teenagers just can't stop. They go for the feeling. They go, they just go with the flow, follow the feeling. So perhaps, I don't know, I'm thinking out loud here, perhaps the talk should include the intimate act as well. What is happening during the intimate act? What are you feeling during the intimate act? Intimate act being sex. What are you feeling when it touches you here, there, kissing you here, kissing you there, or taking your clothes off? When he says this to you, why is saying this to you? Why such and such is happening? Because yeah, I do feel like as society, just from our own observations, when we are talking to teenagers about boys' relationship, we all like, you're gonna be pregnant. Okay, don't have sex too early. Okay, that's all good, but like, talk about the act itself, especially when your daughter's like 14, whatever, and you can see signs that your daughter is already talking to boys that way, engaging with boys that way. So yes, talk to them about the act and be like, okay, when it reaches this point, such and such will happen, and this will be the result. And that's where you stop it. That's where you put a pause on it. That's where you and your boyfriend, you and your girlfriend must have a different type of conversation. Hey, we're about to be making a baby. Do we want to be making a baby right now? That type of stuff. The reason I'm mentioning this is because teenagers, at that point where you're teenage, you're just curious by nature, you're finding out a lot of things that you can't do. You're experimenting with a lot of things. And I do think that for a lot of such teenagers, it just starts off as experimental, starts off as we won't take it too far. but it goes too far because, hey, this feels good, and the teenager didn't know that it was going to feel good, and they just keep going and going and going, And when you're talking to your child about the act, and that's when you can teach your boy children that, what, just because it feels good doesn't mean you must go through with it, because you're gonna get adult consequences, And when she tells you to stop, even if she's giggling, she means it, You don't need the end result of that. And the girl child will be like, yes, it will feel good, but remember, there's adult consequences for such. I don't know. That's just my thought on, how we can take this further. I don't know if it will work or not, but it's a thought. If you have a child, try it. Tell me how it turns out. The next issue that I realized watching the show, especially from Dando and Zanele, is the belief that it won't happen to me, that I won't fall pregnant. I only had sex once, best soma and stuff like that. There's a lot of it won't happen to me, going on. But honey, the main primary purpose of sex, the reason sex was invented, is procreation, the making of babies. You will fall pregnant from sex, because that's what sex is for. The pleasure that I just aforementioned, that's our addition. We're like, oh, hold on now, it's good over here. Can I do this a lot without having kids? That's us. But the main primary purpose for sex, religiously, biologically, is procreation, honey. Next is the relationship between parent and child. Times have changed. I feel now we are at an age where mother and child, parent and child have to be best friends. We cannot use fear as a parenting tactic, because when we parent with fear, we rule our household with fear, then that gives the children an opportunity to be doing things behind our backs. And when they're doing things behind our back, they're not getting the right information from us, the adults in their lives. My child has to feel that they can come and talk. Oh my God, I could be somebody's grandmother right now. Looking at the statistics, okay, if a 14-year-old is having a child, I'm 31. I could be a grandmother to like a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, or no. So back to my point. Make sure that communications channels are open between you and your child. Another thing, y'all. Another thing that I feel society is not ready to talk about. Teenagers are experimenting with sex. They're not just having, vaginal sex. Teenagers are doing things out there. Case in point, Ntando was doing uksom, thigh sex. That's different type of experimentation. Are parents even talking to their children about that? Uksom. And then there's Amkelani, just as another example. Her sister was talking to her about this whole thing. And Amkelani was like, okay, this is not verbatim. Amkelani was like, I test everybody that I'm with. And her sister's like, how many people have you been sleeping with? And she's like, no, just my boyfriend is the only one that I've been sleeping with. But I've been doing other things. The sister at that point had been like, child, what other things? Okay. If the other, now I'm not talking about Amgelani per se, I'm just saying the experimentation. If it's oral, there are pros and cons to oral, okay? If it's anal, there's pros and cons to anal. That's a very sensitive area over there. There's a lot of tearing that could happen. Like lubrication. So yes, we need, like as a society, as older family members, we need to educate ourselves with all the things that teenagers are experimenting with. It's not enough now to just be concerned with vaginal sex. Another issue, and this grinds my gears so bad, that this show is highlighting, whether they intended it or not. Nobody pays attention to the boy that impregnates. Okay? The girl child the one who's pregnant, yeah, the girl child is the one that takes all the stigma, all the shame, all the talk, all the backlash, even awareness programs are focusing on the girl child, and I do understand why, because you're the one that bears the child, you're the one that ends up being stuck with the child. Why is society not, putting as much heat on the boy as the girl? I really feel that the same effort and attention we are giving to girls, if we were giving it to boys, it wouldn't be this bad, because then everybody knows that I am gonna get fire for this. Next point is linked to the previous point. Where are the fathers in these households? I have not seen a father. I have not heard a mention of a father. Even when they went to Smanga's house, they were met with 2 matriarchal women. Where are the fathers? Dando's mother got 5 children. She's raising 5 children now. I don't know if by the same man or by multiple men, but either way, unless that man is dead, what is the reason he is not involved in his children's lives? Now, last but not least, I want to preach, if I wasn't already, on something else. I want to bring through a different idea: delayed sexual entry. Perhaps as a society, we need to explore avenues, practices, ways that can promote delayed sexual entry, both by boys and girls. Already now they don't always work, or rather they don't work for everybody, but an example, Ntando's situation, that cultural aspect that they are involved in, of ingoma, not ubungoma is something else, of ingoma in your neighborhood, of doing what the maiden activities, that is a perfect example of an activity that fosters delayed sexual entry. Cause it didn't work for Ntando, but it's working for Ntando's sister. The reason they joined that practice was to make sure that they are virgins for much longer. I'm not necessarily preaching being a virgin until you get married. If you want to, if you so feel you can, do it. But I'm not gonna preach on it, because find that one-sided. Nobody's telling young boys to be virgins until they get married, but we're gonna tell that to girls while their boys are over there having sex. It's a conundrum. If you can't do it, it's of course good for you. Yeah, but like delayed sexual entry, guys, like there's a ginormous difference from having sex at 14 and like when you're having sex at 17. So yeah, Tuesdays is at 9:30, thereabouts. MojaLove is where it's at. Teenage pregnancy. I'm not sure how many episodes there's gonna be of this. We are already 2 episodes down. Okay, I think that's all I have for today's video. Thank you so much once again for watching. Please make sure that you're giving my videos a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. Once again, thank you. Bye bye.